What's up, everyone? It's me, Adam Prime, and we are back for a very interesting This Week in Toku. With me, as always, is a person who often questions how I get her to watch these shows. My lovely co-host, fiance, and I guess I'd say Is it weird to think we've been watching these shows together since Build?
Yeah, beginning of Build, ending of X-Aid around that time.
Yeah, well, I'm about to say, I watched X-Aid twice because of you. No joke.
You're welcome. I'm Stormy.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to that. Put a pin in what we just said right there.
Oh my gosh.
So this week, there is no Kamen Rider Geats or DonBrothers. I weep.
This Week in Decker.
Well, kinda.
If only I could say This Week in Decker.
Even though, yeah, we thought last week that it was going to be a clip show episode, we were mistaken.
Yeah, we think that's going to be next episode based off of the preview.
Yeah, Mermelu and what's-his-face is back. Like I said, I think Mermelu is the fucking harbinger of, like, a clip show episode. You see him and you're like, you're watching clips. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, we are also talking about, we're only doing this just because we don't think Decker's gonna have that much to discuss about. Maybe, I don't know. I think we'll have some words, but like I don't think we have a lot to say about Decker.
Yeah,
so
like,
we don't even.
Nice stuff happened, but...
Matter of fact, I don't even know how long this episode could be. Honestly, it might be one of the shorter ones. Maybe, who knows?
We'll see.
But we are also discussing the first two episodes of Kamen Rider Black Sun. Both of these are actually legally streaming now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Kamen Rider Black Sun is on Amazon Prime, so if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can go check it out.
And if you have the Prime account, it's actually free.
Yeah.
But if you don't have Prime, I think you have to pay for it, right?
I don't know if you can pay for it or if you can. Yeah, you're just.
Or if it's just not
you might have to pay for the service, if anything. Who knows?
But if you have Prime, then
it's free and it has English subtitles.
Yeah.
And it gets to keep the title Black Sun. Kamen Rider, I mean. Because they had to change Amazons to Amazon Riders for some reason.
I don't know who's making the decisions back there, but...
So, yeah. Oh, my voice went weird. Overall, this was... I guess, really, the only thing that's, like, this week, well, even though I guess all of Black Sun came out this week, we are going to be doing a full episode on Black Sun on regular TokuBrew, but we're going to hold off because we have other topics we need to talk about first.
Okay.
So, that's going to be when that show comes out. So, let's start off with, I guess, our usual show.
Decker.
Decker always goes first.
Also, I just want to talk about Decker for a minute because, oh my god.
Are you going to have some words about Black Sun?
Probably.
But yeah, Decker was a fun episode.
It was really sweet.
Yeah, we got, it was pretty much like what we learned last time. And it was so funny because it ended on almost such a grim note. Like how you're going to be like, oh my god, are we going to find out the captain betrayed everyone?
Or is he like an alien?
Yeah.
Or, like, what's going on? So...
we were wrong. But I also like how it opens up on that. But then like it quickly shifts to the captain being like, yep, but I sent in all the proper paperwork and the people will come in, but they'll all be fine. And then it wasn't fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's seriously what happened.
Under attack.
Yeah. So we meet a new Metron alien.
Older one, I assume?
Yeah. It has the full body in coconut, unlike Mermelu that has, like, the soft, the smooth, like, the powdery soft.
And I think I had mentioned, maybe in the last episode, it was just like, oh, you know, this big dude hulking it. It's a female.
Yeah.
There's just, like, this, like,
very elegant voice.
A very firm but elegant, like, feminine voice. Kind of, I was just like, oh, my bad. So sorry.
And yeah, like that's pretty much is them questioning if the captain was in league with Agamus.
Yeah,
because he was the one who
there was like a hole in one of his, like when he was like on the special service team.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago, like there was like a hole in his story that like he couldn't explain, so they think, oh, he must have been assisting them then, and that's how this person was able to get in.
Yeah, they even used his good deeds against him.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, yeah, but why would you assist the pit alien and Grace and his family? Is it because you're biased?
Which, as much as that sounds like it sucks, it's kind of realistic, because they were looking at it not from, like, his character or, you know, his morals or anything. It's just, like, pure facts on paper.
Yeah, like, that's even what they were saying throughout the whole episode.
Just like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
But then we have this Gomez that shows up, and, like, he's big. He's a big boy. And, like, the vice captain was like, hey, we gotta deploy, because we gotta deal with that Gomez. And
no, you're not allowed
the
to
Metron,
deploy
yeah.
unless your commander gives it to you. And I
have him
your
detained.
commander in the detaining room or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And they pretty much just said, hey, the city's defenses can get it. Don't worry. You're fine.
They're like, this is
bigger than
big,
usable.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, we'll see what happens. And then it goes to shit. But I guess let's get to the big point of this episode.
Yeah, this has just kind of been a play-by-play. Let's get to the meat of the episode.
Well, I'm about to say, we finally get the ending piece of, like, Raymond's backstory.
Because they've been slowly giving us bits and pieces of it here and there, and now it's finally kind of come full circle and we get to learn it.
Yeah, so, like we mentioned earlier, the special victim, like...
Special victim?
Yeah! Oh yeah, the captain was part... Yeah, the captain was part of the special victims unit. He hung out with Ice-T.
That's right, Ice-T. It's a kaiju. You're gonna have to get used to that.
Are you telling me these aliens are having giant monsters that are stomping around our cities just because they want to take over the Earth?
Yes, Ice-T.
This is an alien invasion. You're in the alien division. You better get used to that. Division. It's very hard to say.
Alien division.
Are you okay?
I now need someone. I need like a task force that is called that.
The Alien Invasion Division?
No, like your fucked up version of it.
Oh, I said invasion, didn't I?
I repeated it a couple times.
Oh. That's really hard to say really fast.
It's really cute. Don't worry about it. You're cute.
So.
But anyway, yeah, so he was on that special task force.
And Raymond was the boy he saved.
Yeah, like the commander was the one that saved him because he had talked like, oh, there was this TPU member that saved me during an attack.
Yeah.
And that was what inspired me to come here, and we actually get to see that interaction.
And, like, he looked up the dates and everything to make sure, to validate what was happening.
And during, like, the interaction, like, because he was super scared, because he
Yeah.
was, like, a kid, he, like, took off his patch, he's like, this is a symbol for bravery, and it's, like, the TPU.
Yeah, it's, like, his little, like, badge.
His little badge. And, or is it TPU?
Yeah, I think it's TPU.
And, he gave it to him. And then he was like, just run! And he fucking ran like the wind.
Which I guess he ran so fast that nobody could find him.
Yeah, because the hole in the story was like, oh, he said that he had stopped
to save a kid.
Save a kid, but they were never able to identify the kid. And they were no witnesses. So he actually kept this patch all this time.
He also showed him his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like he was like all masked up, so you couldn't see him like he was like a ninja.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they had this really sweet scene between him and the captain.
A lot of emotions coming out
like,
of Raymond's actor.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
nice.
And it's like, I like how they've been using Raymond these past couple episodes, you know? Mm-hmm. And you can really see his character himself hasn't maybe changed personality-wise and how he does things, but you really can see the growth of him as a character.
Yeah.
It's very nice, and it was good to see. And it was between Raymond and the captain, you know? It was really cool. Also, we forgot to mention last episode, Hajimero's better.
Oh, yeah.
We forgot to mention he was back last episode.
I'm sorry.
He also found out something new about himself. He could be used as Bluetooth speakers.
And he also likes death metal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Metro was like, hey, play some music, and it would just went... It was just like, oh my god.
That was something elegant, and then, like, this, like, rip-off of Swan Lake play.
Yeah, exactly. But then, later on, he starts playing the graduation march.
He's like, oh, sorry, too much. Like, it was a tension breaker. It was really nice.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to say about this without just like, oh, and then they did this and said this. And
Yeah, they defeated the
just
Gomez at the end of the episode. It's like, we could talk about the Decker fight, but like, it was cool. It was at night, but
yeah, I always love a night fight.
but I wouldn't say it's nothing.
Oh,
It
we
was,
almost
that's
thought
great.
that Raymond figured out his identity for
Yeah, like,
he's like, oh, like, you know, you start.
yeah, Raymond pretty much called it. He's like, you could be Ultraman Decker, because he's like, look, he's like, your injuries that you sustain are the same that Decker has,
And then
but he's
Eli
like,
starts to sweat, and he's like, but I'm like 1,000% sure you're not Decker.
yeah, he's like, there's 1,000% no way, and then we're triggered because of Thouser,
Bowser.
Thouser,
Yeah, Thouser
and my
kinda
dog,
ruined that for you. No, I'm just like, ah.
and my dad, and my dog.
And my dad, and it was my dog. And
That was the
I've
stupidest
never
shit.
told that joke online, I'm realizing, because I know we've joked about that with like our friends, but
You know what? Maybe we should do a 0-1 TokuBrew for
I know,
that.
but in the gist of it, when they were running out of time in 0-1,
When they gave, okay, wait. I guess we shouldn't even say they were running out of time. Let's just say this is
well,
how they.
capped it.
Well, yeah, but this is how they decided to write a redemption arc for Thouser. Was just to be like, well, his dad was really mean, and he had a robot dog, and his dad told him he couldn't have his robot dog anymore.
That's why he doesn't like robots.
That's why. Yeah, that's why he's racist.
And then he just has like this like crying fit about it at one point, and that's just a joke we make every once.
Yeah.
It's just with my dad, and with my robot dog, and my dog, and we just, make, like,
So yeah, that was our little 0-1 segment within Decker.
I feel like our joke would have been really weird with absolutely zero context. I know we do that a lot of the time, but I feel like that one in particular would have arose some questions. Or just, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
Yeah. And the fight itself was okay. It was fun. It just...
Nothing particularly special about it.
Yeah, I can't tell you anything that really... Like, last episode with Pandan, I could tell you, they threw the boulder and stuff, and then he died way too real. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this
one's just something that... It's
Gomez.
a very emotional, good character-driven episode.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to Black Sun. I'm going to say this right away. If you are not over the age of 18, do not watch Black Sun.
And listen.
So we're getting into spoilers, we're getting into graphics. This is a gory, like Amazon's used to say, and both and original Amazon was taken off the air because of its violence, and Amazon's was just like, oh yeah, what if we do that but with violence? And it was the last Amazon Prime Kamen Rider show. And so we're like, okay, it might be a little bit like that. It is nothing like that. It is a step above.
And listen, like, I know a lot of the time when you hear, like, oh, well, I'm under 18, but I want to go watch it. Listen, I'm always the one that's like, oh, if you're mature and you don't think you can handle it, whatever. This hurts. Like,
should we
I feel like we'll tell you, like, the first, 3 minutes up until, the opening, and if that sounds like something that you can't handle, I wouldn't suggest watching it.
It was almost a little much for us.
And then after that, consider it spoilers. Because, again, I feel like at least, if you're like, oh, I want to watch Black Sun, you should get at least a warning first, because just hearing, oh, it's really violent, I don't think quite prepares you for what you see. I'm a freaking horror movie fan. I've seen some shit. And even I was, almost tapping out. I was like, I don't know if I can watch this.
So, should we just open up with what it opens up with? It's messed up, and I am not showing a screenshot of this.
No,
I'm sorry.
You'll get kicked off of YouTube so hard, so fast.
I was about to say, we're probably just going to be showing a lot of the Black Sun logo. I might get one of some of the characters, but I about to say, I don't know how much I can actually show. It is stuff where YouTube would not be happy if I showed it.
So this is how it opens up. And
With
I'm going to try and not be, super graphic. So, if you're super sensitive to that, so that you can still listen to this. So it opens up and you hear, someone crying. And then you see that they're, there's 3 people operating on a kid who's not asleep. He's not under anesthesia. And they actually do show the surgery. And they don't hold back showing you.
He's
nothing
screaming.
Is blurred. Nothing is, off screen. You see...
Just like a blood hole.
The blood and guts, and the kid is crying. Because, here's the thing. I can't really do things happening to kids in horror movies a lot of the time. It just hits too many spots inside
It's not
of
okay.
my cold dead soul. It's just like, and it's just really rough, and and his friend is like tied up next
It's his
to
brother.
him. His brother, thank you.
Yeah.
And they're like reaching out to each other and crying, and these like adults don't seem like they're very happy doing what they're doing, and then they put like a stone like deep in him, just as the soldier,
The King's Rock, yeah.
the King's Stone or whatever it's called, deep inside of him, right as like the eclipse is happening, and then that's what goes into the title sequence. Everything out from here is considered spoilers, but it just what I've described, it is very graphic, very, just especially if you're just sensitive to like blood and guts and stuff with kids, like that opening is just really rough.
That is something. Do not watch this with young children.
Absolutely. That's why we're like, actually, yes, 18 or older is about correct.
Like, I don't want to be telling people what they should and shouldn't watch, but this is a lot of much, and it's a very current events.
Oh my
like
God.
People said, and it's like, I'm not one of those people who believe Kamen Rider should not have any political sense. It literally was started because like Ishinomori had these things, and he was not part. It was like after the Nazis were over, and they were trying to censor certain things. But like that's why in Kamen Rider, Nazis, or Shocker, which are a branch off the Nazis, are
the villains.
Are the villains. Like hell,
there's
literally a starfish. Yeah, there's starfish Hitler for like, come on. Like, we see this so often, and it's like I can see why it's not to everyone's taste, and this isn't going to be for everyone. Like, yeah, I can say that.
I do want to say, like, with the violence real quick, like, it isn't like that, because it opens up on like a 40-minute special, basically.
No, like the first 2 episodes are both 40-ish minutes.
Okay,
yeah.
And it's not just that the whole time. I will say it's not just violence.
It's kind of slow.
There is like a lot of like violent moments, and when they do happen, they are very graphic.
Oh.
But like most of it does come from like, there are still adult themes. Like there's like
riots, drugs.
Like, riots, there's protests, there's a lot of like political tensions, and like I think even borderline terrorism kind of in there.
Police brutality,
there's a very obvious, like, if you want to, going off of, what you were saying, if like there's a lot of correlations between, like discrimination and.
Well, yeah, it's like that's the whole setup.
Again, like brutality and bias and.
Yeah, and like
so much horrible shit.
Which I guess we should just get to the main premise of the show as it seems now. We have not finished all 10 episodes. We are talking about this 2 episodes. And it seems like it's just kind of the debates between whether what they're calling kaijin, which are the monster people and or animal people, if they should be able to be around us. It's like some people are believing we should kill them all. None of them should be left alive.
Yeah, some of them are like, oh, let's just get them out of Japan. Some people are like, just like, let's just exterminate them all.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
And there's still people that are just like, no, they're peoples just as much as you are. We need to not discriminate against them so we can live in harmony. Yeah,
it's like we're trying to live in peace. And you know what's weird is like we're also getting flashbacks to like 1971 because there is a storyline 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it hits some very dark and present tones.
Like, if you're a movie person, sometimes you hear those stories of like, oh, the reason that this movie is scary, even if it's like you watch it now and it's not even that scary kind of thing, but like, oh my gosh, people were so like crazy about this when it came out, and you usually hear, oh, it's because it hit on so many points that were going on at the time. It hit a lot of like the political points, or just like, a lot of fears at the time. And this is very much a modern version of that. Like, I feel like I felt all those things that like people had described about that. Of just, my God, like, this is hitting me in the, like, because I always heard about, oh, the fear comes from the fact that it's reality, and the fact that it is spewing the reality in your face and, like, showing you the horrors of it, and I've never really experienced that until now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that even makes sense, but I hope it makes
like, there's literally a line in the show that says, where it's like, oh, how can we expect humans to get along with us? It's like they can't get along with anything that's different and everything. It's like they listed off like what, like, species. They're, like, anything. Like, they listed
they said,
from
like,
even color.
Yeah, which I guess, you know, when you think about it in, like, the most, like, basic, like, oh, you're explaining this to an alien that isn't from this planet, you know, like, oh, where do a lot of, like, your disagreements come from? Oh, we're different colors. It sounds ridiculous.
Well, it's like, yeah, and it's like they're, and it's like, and like that's really where this whole thing is. But we also, it's so interesting because I could tell you what Black Sun's actual name is, but like they always just call him, or at least from the episodes we saw, they still just call him Black Sun. But it's obviously his name is Kotaro. I can't tell you what Shadow Moon's name is.
I can't remember. But they do call him Shadow. They do call them Black Sun and Shadow Moon.
Like, yeah, so it's like that's to be fair.
So it's not like calling them that is like out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's not like you're just calling them their rider name, but like we also find out there's this hierarchy of stronger monsters and everything. Like, there's the weaker ones who just kind of live amongst humans, which we do see a couple. And for whatever reason, we don't know if it's because people can smell them or exactly what, but they know when people are, like, monsters.
I think it is smell, because that seems to be what a lot of them were going off of. Like, oh, some of them were using it in a mocking way at first, so I thought it was just like, oh, just an insult. But I think it because when her friend, the Sparrow Kid, went into like, her apartment near the end, which we'll get to, like, he's like, oh, I smell one, it's a really strong one. You know, like, I think it is kind of based off of smell of it.
Yeah, and like,
which is interesting.
Like, and I can't tell you exactly what parts are from episode 1 and what parts are from, well, I guess up until the spider fight is where episode 1 is.
Yeah, basically.
But like, we honestly didn't see a lot of fighting, or like, we saw some like action pieces in a way, but it's like the whole opening action piece with the riot and everything. It's like we just see Black Sun walk away and walk past from and everything.
Showing he's not interested in it.
Yeah, I guess. By the way, he lives on a bus.
He lives in a bus.
And he does a lot of drugs.
Yeah, like, we don't know whether it's because, like, he has to take them, because they all seem to have, like, this...
like, juice that everyone wants. And
thing.
they say it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, and also we see what it is later. But, like, we see that he doesn't actually eat it, and he's been, like, injecting himself with ketamine, which is a very terrible drug. We wonder if that's, like, kind of, like, a replacement. Like, does that help him in some way?
Yeah.
Or is it literally just him being like, I need to numb the pain. Like, I am doing a drug.
It's called Heaven.
Doing a drug.
Yeah, it's called Heaven.
It's Haven, right?
Oh, Haven. It's Haven or Heaven. I'm not sure.
It's Haven.
But, like, when we open up, Shadow Moon is chained up, by the way.
Haven is the juice stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's like, apparently they're running out because this bug guy, the Sentry King, is dying.
Because they produce, like, an extract.
Okay, should we get this out of the way?
Okay, guys. Like,
Spoiler
we're gonna
alert.
assume that you've either seen this or you're not gonna watch this because it's too violent.
So Soylent Green is people.
Yeah. So yeah, like, this extract is like what's inside of Haven, but it's also mixed with fucking chunks of
people.
Dead bodies, like people, humans.
It's gross.
So it's a mixture of the two of them, and they eat these.
And I think even monster flesh too.
Possibly. Well, the extract is, at least.
Well, yeah, but it's like it's so nasty, and like they don't tell you that until late episode 2.
Yeah.
So it's like episode 1, you're just like, oh, and you even hear like Shadow Moon, because Shadow Moon breaks out, but like when they're holding him up, he's chained up because apparently they think Black Sun is dead.
Yeah, and they were trying to interrogate him where the
where the King's Stone is, and
literally.
And like he didn't do anything. He pulled a Michael Myers.
Broke it in half. I'm realizing the scientists broke it in half. I wonder if Black Moon has the other half, or if both halves are just in him.
No, I think one half, and I think there's a separate one. I don't think you're going to be able to recover the ones they put into them. Mm-hmm. But for that, it's like, I like how they just like the people, because now it's becoming a limited resource. We had his guard mad that they're giving it to Shadow Moon. Mm-hmm. And it's like they set up a thing that Shadow Moon looks the same.
The guy is dying. They get the extract from, what'd you call it? I forget.
Haven?
Something King.
Oh, the Sentry King.
Yeah, like, because he's dying and they're not going to be able to extract much more from him. Who is also a grasshopper, by the way.
Yes. I think that will definitely come into play. By the way, we haven't even gotten to the part where they've become Kamen Riders yet, either. They're still in their Kaijin forms.
Also, so Haven well, it's because these guys eat. Is kaijin? Is that what they're called?
Yes.
So it doesn't seem like they need this to survive per se. Like they can eat just
It makes them
normal
stronger.
food, but what it does is like it heals them and it puts them into like their peak performance really quickly, and also it seems like it doesn't age them.
Yeah, actually, Shadow Moon even mentions it when he meets back up with Black Sun. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you haven't been eating Haven. That's
You look
you.
old."
Yeah, it's like you look old.
Yeah, and apparently humans can also eat it for like the same effect of staying
Maybe,
young.
maybe
I
we don't
think
know
so,
yet.
Because here's the thing, like what we see the prime minister, who like a lot of people are looking up to, like seeing like as like this very
Big figurehead.
in the movement of trying to end the discrimination, who's basically like
Feeding
ahead
it.
of all of this. Like he's the one producing all of these terrible things, and he's I think a human, and he also like consumes it, and I wonder if it is
Because they mentioned they're like, "Oh, he's just gonna hoard it all for himself," and we also open up on this girl who is just fighting for the kaijin rights. She's a human.
She's speaking at a UN meeting in New York.
Yeah, and then she pretty much gets home, and pretty much the mafia or whoever else put a hit out on her.
The Yakuza.
Yeah, and
because Black Sun actually
can't take it
so that he can get drug money.
So he can get drugs.
And he just I think he might have like decided to like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing. But also the people behind making it, like, I don't even quite remember why they don't want her around. Do you think it's because of, like...
I can't remember.
But, like, they don't want her around, so...
But we also have this negative group. Don't forget about them, those assholes.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, Gorazon, was it?
No, that's the company I think the Prime Minister's working with. They were just, like, the kick the kaijins out of Japan.
Oh, yeah, those
racists.
But, yeah, I mean... Fuck those guys. But I'm talking about the guys that sent the spider dude.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they did. He just might have taken the same hit as Black Sun.
Like they told him directly. It's just like
Gorgon, I think it is. Yeah, Gorgon.
Yeah, Gorgon. And and right as Black Sun is about to like take her, kidnap her essentially, because I think.
Yeah, he fights her.
He the hit that he got on her, which was probably from the racist group. They wanted her dead. The spider dude that's working for the organization wanted to kidnap her. It's like I imagine like some sort of like ransom or something.
I think the spider guy wanted to kill her. But
I don't want to step on your toes, but I honestly think I'm correct. But
well, I think they both wanted to kill her. Because the only reason he stopped was because she had a necklace and it started to glow. And that's what I think she has the King's Stone.
I'm saying I think Black Sun wanted her dead, but the other one wanted to kidnap her. But I'm not fully sure.
But like, yeah, so it's like he changes his mind once he realizes that.
Well,
and that's even what...
You're skipping a step. Like, while she's, like, walking home with her bird friend, like, they both attack at essentially the same time.
Yeah, the spider dude comes out way more present with his gross legs.
And again, it's presented in a very real, very scary way.
God, the monsters in this, like, they're almost kind of gross because you could see almost the human skin, like, peeling or ripping off, and it's just like, oh.
I mean, that's not graphic. It's just kind of like, ugh, you know?
Yeah, no.
And also, I have to commend the fact that there's just so much prosthetic and so much, like, actual practical effects in this. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Black Sun gets stabbed.
Yeah, and didn't even...
Didn't even care. He just was like, all right, time to transform. Bugs up.
And,
Bug up.
Here's another part of that violence thing that we were talking about. During the fight, after he gets stabbed, he snaps off his arm. And
This is the spider's arm.
The spider's arm. And then stabs him with his arm, because they're like little, like, stabbies. Like, they're not like hands. They're like little spikes, basically.
Yeah.
And then... After that, he just shoves his hand in his stomach and rips out his intestines.
It was nasty.
See, the thing with Amazons, it's like what their level of violence was like, he would break his arm off and then he would stab him. But it would usually be like black goo, and then that's all you would see. But with this, it takes it like 2 steps further.
It's like human red blood.
It also rips out his intestines, and it's also red and looks like humans, and it makes your guts feel weird when you see it.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what gets Shadow Moon to break out.
Yeah, because, like, once he, like, touches her necklace,
Yeah, he's just like, oh, Black Sun's alive. And
Aha.
like that's what everyone senses. They're like, oh shit. Like, because there is going to be probably something important about Black Sun and Shadow Moon. But that was also because even in the original show, that was the whole thing. Again, I don't know how much this is actually correlating with Black. I know there's very little. Because I don't think it had quite the, like, rioting and, like, equality kind of messaging as this one. If it does, I'm sorry, I'm getting it wrong. I've never seen Black. It's coming out on Blu-ray soon. I will watch it then.
Maybe we could do a proper comparison later if we want to.
Yeah.
If it's something you guys want to hear.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, I guess let's get into, like, more of, like, how we feel about it, I guess. I'm about to say, I feel like we have a little bit more to talk about, but, like, I feel like we're rearing the end of episode 1, which was a lot of that. And, like, that's pretty much where episode 1 ends. He takes the girl along with him back to his bus. And,
after he fucking rips his head off.
Yeah, he rips the spider guy's head off.
And, like, carries his head for a second.
Yeah, exactly. Which, by the way, we saw the bug form had teeth. Human teeth that'll come back later. I swear to God, I'm terrified. At least we have two things that can stand right next to Shin, and I can be like, yeah, you guys can all hang out. He still looks more connected to Kamen Riders, though.
So if we're going off of like what we feel, I don't know how to describe this. I don't know how to recommend this because like, I feel like it's like a. How do you say? It's like a train crash, but if both trains were filled with glitter, like if one's filled with glitter and one's filled with like a bunch of like blood and gore, it's just like, oh my god, this is gonna be horrible. But I kind of want to see what happens.
No, it's like when you see a cart going down a parking lot and you're seeing it's about to hit a car,
but you can't help.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh my god, and it's like you know you can't run fast enough to go catch it, but you also can't close your eyes because you can't not see what happens.
It's just, here's the thing, this show's fantastic so far.
Artistically,
it looks
shot.
Fantastic. It feels like Hollywood movie levels of like quality. Again, it looks beautiful and like there's also a lot of symbolism in it. You know, you really like these characters. The music's really good.
I think the characters are interesting. I don't know if I would say I like any of them yet.
I like them. I'd say I like them so far. But I just also
the music's beautiful though.
Yeah, absolutely. But like. That was so hard to get through. Like, I'm kind of glad I watched it in the mood that I was in, because I feel like if you're in, like, the wrong headspace or the wrong mood for this would fuck you up. Like, legitimately. And again, like...
It's somewhat like Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
ultra-violent.
Well, it's like, yeah, it's like if you have Kuga or Shin Godzilla, I haven't seen Shin Ultraman yet, but it feels like something like that, where it's like they almost bring a nice realism, where it's like it's not trying to tell you it's like, oh, this is how the world would be. It's more of like, well, if we'd made this fantasy thing, this is how we think the real world would react to it. And that's when I say when I compare to that.
Yeah,
like,
Kuga's a good version of how they thought we would be dealing with this sort of situation in that time, and this definitely feels like how we would be dealing with this in this time. And like, sadly, it is very accurate.
And this world feels so lived in because it has 50 years of its own standing. It honestly does feel like, because even Amazon hits some of these beats of trying to live in harmony with these other people. And it's like, it could have been a show like that, where it could have been that 50 years into the future and everything. So it's very interesting about how they're playing it. And I think it's turning out really well, because it's like, as much as it sucks, it's like, if this was a real human debacle, this is probably sadly how it would go down.
Yeah, that's like one of the hardest parts watching it, just being like, it tells you that really harsh truth, and it really does. It forces you to look, and you can't look away. Just some of like the most heartbreaking ways.
Oh hell! Even in the Marvel Ultraman comic series, like, something that hit a little almost too close to home was the whole comic then starts denying that kaiju exist and that it's the government creating kaiju. And
oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like pretty much like the kaijus are hoaxes, and I'm like, oh my god, why do I feel like that's how it would actually happen? Oh my god. And like,
we live in such a fucking batshit insane world, man.
and yeah, but Black Sun is very. It's like, again, like, it is not a show I could be like. Could I say objectively it could be one of the best Kamen Riders? Yes, from the shot, the cinematography,
The
and
effects,
yeah,
the music,
the impact this could make to any person.
Even, yeah, the story.
Like it's something that is not an easy pill to swallow, I guess you could say, where but it's very interesting. And then, like, even going into episode 2, where it's like now we have more into Shadow Moon and we start having the flashbacks to 1971, where they're having almost the very similar riots and petitions to being like, hey, we need to be treated equal, showing that this is still a 50-year problem. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that's before we get into the really bloody violence, because the opening part of episode 2 was Shadow Moon being like, well, everyone's gonna notice if I stay in my Jesus garb. Shaves.
To be fair, like, you know,
he cleans up nice.
Yeah. Also, like, just before we get off into, like, episode 2 and everything, one more thing I have to commend about, like, how well this is written. The whole thing that we were telling you about with Haven, about, like, what it does, what the purpose of it is, you know, the scarcity, how much it costs, and, like, what it's made out of, isn't even told to you directly. It shows, it definitely is, like, mastered show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And through so many, like, context and conversational cues and just, like, the bits of information that they gave us so that you can connect the dots yourself. This is a movie in a language that I do not speak, and I fully understood it without them saying it to me directly. Like, that is so fucking impressive.
Yeah. Also, Shadow Moon took a fuck ton of it.
Oh, yeah, like, first of all, smartest move, like, when he broke out, because he's like, oh, I have a reason to live, I'm gonna break out of here.
Yeah, I could go kill my brother.
My bro's alive. And before...
Are they still brothers in this one?
Before he broke out, he stole a bunch of their shit, and I'm just like, actually, yeah, that's fucking...
Smart.
Actually really smart. And then they actually have, like, it, like, goes on almost a little bit, like, comedically long of, like, him, like, consistently
first he had
so many of them in, like, a box.
And he even threw one at Black Sun. Yeah. He threw it. He was like, here, take it.
And just, like, it went on almost comedically long, and I thought it was kind of hilarious, because it's like, that is, like, the smartest thing that he could have done. Yeah, just, not only just take a couple, but fucking just stock up on this shit, and he did.
He's like, I'm not gonna be back here for a while, and I have no money, so...
God, he's been probably eating nothing but human flesh for fucking 50 years.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like he has any sign of stopping. Yeah. Speaking of which...
I wonder if it's almost like a drug as well, because, like, we saw, like, normal kaijin
eating
it, and they were just like, ah. So
yeah, it's like, apparently tastes delicious. We also find out that, like, in the 70s, there was, like, this other group that, like, Shadow Moon and Black Sun were part of, and, like, there was Oliver something, or Oliver Charles or something like that.
Thompson?
Yeah, something like that. And he was just, like,
Oliver
making all this art, and, like, Black Sun was like, that's obscene.
It was like a fucking, like, girl with her legs spread and a huge bush in between her legs.
Which, by the way, can I add something I think is really funny?
And she's
that,
like, this is art.
I think even they called him Black Sun and Shadow Moon. Did they? I can't remember. Because that sounds like such a 70s thing, you know what I mean?
It does.
No,
please don't call me that. That's my 70s name.
Oh my god, if Kotaro does that next episode, he's like, Shadow Moon, you need to stop calling me that. He's like, no, oh my god, I wish I remember his real name, but he's just like, hey, you have to stop calling me that. I stopped going by that in the 80s. Like, the 70s was a good time, but the acid trip is down. I'm good. I'm not clean, but I'm dealing with it.
I'm not clean, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no. And we don't really get... I feel like later on we'll get more importance on these backstory scenes, but it's just like we just see them kind of interacting, and like you get to see like their characters almost bonding with this other group. Like they were like real good friends, and you're just like, something terrible happened, didn't it?
yeah, because like that seems to be like, oh, like they keep referencing like this riot or like this protest that happened like 50 years ago. And that seems to be like when they caught Shadow Moon.
Yeah, and Shadow Moon went back to like where they were, and that's where his bike was.
And they fixed it up, and it works now. And also we saw Black Sun's, which actually does still look like a grasshopper.
I love it.
Antenna. So good.
Yeah. So I guess let's get into like the big part. That one girl's life went terrible.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she was gonna meet her family.
Also, cute little thing I noticed whenever we're watching like nostalgic memories that they're watching, it's the colors are also more saturated and brighter.
Yeah, that was a neat detail.
So yeah, her and her bird friend.
Yeah, you find out she used to be racist a little bit. She got over it.
Yeah,
and then you find out she doesn't. She lives with some random lady.
We don't really know the significance of it.
I don't think we're gonna learn the significance.
Like maybe we don't, because we kind of learn later in this episode that her parents are actually on the run from something.
Yeah, from the Prime Minister, it seems.
Kidnapped because they are like, hey, we're gonna come and visit you. We want to see you. And they end up getting kidnapped.
I think she doesn't know they're running because she's like, oh, they're always working.
We don't really know. We need to see more for that.
Yeah, we need to watch more.
Yeah, and she's living with
some lady.
I forget her name.
I don't think it's gonna matter much.
But we don't know if like this is like a family friend, an aunt. Yeah.
But yeah, no. By the way, it was the Rose person who was sent to kidnap her.
Yeah, they wanted her alive.
Well, yeah, see, I think that's where you're getting confused with the spider guy.
It doesn't matter.
But, like, yeah, so she pretty much just said, hey, I'll go get the lady and Black to convince Black Sun to do this. And then I'll get your job, other lady I don't know the name of.
She's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And,
so
she's dead.
She went, and, like, this person who I assumed, like, played a big part in at least raising this girl, who's, like, 14, by the way.
Yeah.
And she comes home, and this is the scene where we mentioned, like, oh, her bird friend is, like... I smell something and it's really strong. By the way, like, they seem to, like, turn into, like, their animal forms when they're, A, in a lot of pain, or B, they're... like really like heightened emotions, like really scared.
But it seems like
really
they can do it on command. But we also saw when he was a little kid, it looked like he was like molting or something. It's like we don't know.
I wonder if like that was him in puberty. Like they go through like an awkward phase where they're like kind of halfway in between.
We'll find out.
And they walk in and she's just fucking dead. Like it's in a very
like she's not even in her monster form either. But like she's just like pinned, killed. In the face.
And the Rose Lady's just standing there.
She's like, oh, I just needed her to be quiet. And I'm like, you didn't have to fucking kill her, bro.
And then fucking another just traumatizing scene happens because she tries to take her and her friend like tries to actually
birds up
and tries to help her
and gets squished.
Oh my god.
His eye was popping out of his head.
She fucking steps on his head and crushes it. Underneath her fucking boob.
Yeah, and
his
like
eye pops out.
And Rose kept
not even in like a cartoony way, in a very real gross, I don't like it kind of way.
Again, that's another thing I can't show.
Absolutely no.
If anyone's just like, oh, you're such a pussy for not doing it for Black Sun. I'm sorry, I don't want to get like I know I don't even have monetization, but I don't want to have YouTube zap me into oblivion.
Yeah, like
it's not worth it.
Go watch it if you want to see it. Man.
Again, if this is something you want to see, she pretty much makes like a gas or something so Black Sun can't transform.
I think it's the pollen because she had a bunch of like roses around.
Yeah, and
it created like a barrier to where he couldn't transform.
Yeah, and Shadow Moon just popped out of like a random door. I don't know how he got there, honestly. He just like popped in out of nowhere.
She jumps out the window. They start to run.
Yeah, and he was like, "Hey, Shadow Moon, you have any haven? Make sure that guy's okay." And he like just feeds it into his what I thought was his dead beak. And he
like comes back to fucking life. I guess it's like, oh, it heals you and stuff to an extent. Like if you're just not too late. Like I imagine.
I don't think
once you like reach a certain part of dead, I imagine it can't do anything. Like maybe he was just kind of like hemorrhaging and like in the process of dying rather than dead. And like it seems like he might be losing that eye though because like He was just kind of holding it
I
at
don't
one
know.
point.
I wonder if we're gonna see him again.
I hope so. I mean, he's alive, and it's her friend, so I imagine.
Yeah, and
so we get a fight between.
well, then all of a sudden, like Kotaro is pretty much Shadow.
Kotaro?
No, Black Sun.
Kotaro? Is that his name?
Kotaro.
Kotaro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Black Sun's easier to say because that keeps what they're saying, so I'm just gonna keep with what they're saying, I guess.
That's what I've been doing.
Black Sun was just couldn't do it because he was pretty much letting the hostage situation work out, and Shadow Moon didn't care,
Fuck that.
and then ate and tore her in half.
Yeah, he bit the hell out of her and then just
with his human teeth.
Ripped her in half. You see her legs like walk for a second before they fall over, and she like is like in pain and like why or like something, and then she like tries to crawl away for a minute and then just like dies.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And yeah, so that's what happens there. I can't remember if they say anything back and forth, but then they just kind of leave. Kotaro is just like, it's Black Sun.
He wants them. He's like, hey, we need to take this thing down. It's what she would have wanted.
Oh yeah, that's what he was like.
Referencing like the girl that we keep seeing in
the
flashbacks.
flashbacks.
I don't remember her name.
Yeah,
but...
and Black Sun was like, okay, I'm gonna go take this girl to go meet her parents, even though we saw them like 10 seconds after I said I was gonna do this, get kidnapped.
I really feel like the suitcase that they were dragging is probably gonna be important. Like maybe that's his belt or something. Maybe that's like their belt or something, because it was like
a separate belt.
It was like a bright blue, like it drawing attention. Like, hey, this looks important, kind of.
Well, yeah, because as you saw, their belts just appear on them when they transform.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm imagining because it seems like they do have almost like a food chain for the Kaijins. I want to say Black Sun and Shadow Moon are probably
they're higher level
on the highest form of the food chain. Like I think, like you said, I think they're gonna have some connection to the Century King.
I imagine. Again, like they're the only other grasshoppers we've seen. Like that's the only connection we really can.
Yeah, and we did see a bunch of monster people.
Yeah, like
a ton.
Yeah, we saw
birds, ants, flies. Spider. Like we saw a lot, and yeah.
We saw a couple fuzzy ones here and there. Oh yeah, they're also selling them.
Oh, selling what?
The fucking
oh yeah, selling kaiju. Yeah, they were saying
kaiju.
Kaijin. They were selling them.
Yeah,
like slaves.
They were making them, and I think in a similar way to what they did to the kids.
Yeah, they say, "Oh, we splice your DNA with animal DNA."
Well, we see them having surgery.
Well, oh yeah, no, because that's what they also said. What they did with the enzymes from the Century King, they mixed that with animal DNA, and that's how they made Kaijin.
Yeah, and then they sell them.
Yeah, and then they sell them.
And then that's how he makes more money.
Yeah. So.
I wonder how those racists would feel if they could. Oh, how fun would that be to see if the lead racist that kept
could get money off it?
No, what was got turned into one, and then you see all his friends turn on him, because I also have a theory that there also is one of the reasons that they're turning their back on this organization. You know, Black Sun and Shadow Moon, the whole reason they're turning their backs on this thing that it seems that they helped create.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see a very harsh scene in this where there's these humans that were oh, you killed our friends, and they're we didn't kill anyone, and then they
got lynched.
They essentially got lynched. They got hung from a tree and lit on fire.
I'm not saying that lightly, but that's seriously what happened. They literally doused him in gasoline and just hung him up
from a tree and lit him on
fire.
And I'm wondering if, because I think this was a thing for a minute, where the leaders of this party that's oh, they're discriminating against us and they're being terrible, look at these terrible things they do, they'll actively go kill a human and then frame their fellow kaijin to make it so that, because they know that the humans will make a horrible fuss, take it to an extreme and then do shit like that,
so that
it's more fuel, so they're oh, see what I mean, look. See, what we need to do is we need to take a stand, and we need to go and, what was it that they're saying? Overthrow the government? Or
yeah, pretty much. We got to take down the government.
Yeah, and we even see in the 70s, they were starting to get to extremes too, where they're oh, we're gonna go and kidnap this guy's daughter and hold her hostage so that they can stop,
Yeah, and
it's showing the extremes.
It's
of,
very
so many different sides, and it's just kind of sickening, because it's God, this is similar to the world real world shit. Like,
Like I said, it's like I want to look away, but I can't.
Like, all of this, and you would think that we would hate it, but it is just so good.
It's like
I didn't know if I was gonna watch this, but I've been hooked, and I legitimately do want to keep watching this show.
Yeah.
As fucking hard as it's probably going to be, because oh my god, I am 2 episodes in and already traumatized. So.
God, we thought Geats was traumatizing for trying to kill a baby last week. This show...
Oh, come on, we were joking.
Yeah, I know we were joking, but now it's so funny because it's like last week we were joking about that kind of shit. Now we're just like, we need to warn you.
But it was funny, we watched Decker after we watched Black Sun, and we were just like, yes, please take me away to a nice, wonderful child land full of goodness. Like,
take me away!
What was it that you said?
What?
Like, what you said when we were putting on Decker after watching the 2nd episode?
I'm saying, like, nothing like... I'm like, Kamen Rider is something that always finds a way to mess me up some way personally. And Ultraman is one of those that has done that from time to time, but always feels like a soft hug that just warms you up. In Kamen Rider is something that kicks you in the balls and then leaves you out in the rain.
Yeah, just like, hey, buddy, you want to go on a little fun space adventure? Uh-huh. You wanna come fight the kaiju? Be a big being a light?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. It was funny because like I almost couldn't.
You were waiting for something terrible to happen.
Something terrible to happen throughout this, like when the commander and young Raymond were like in the car, I was just like, and then they get stepped on, like.
God damn. But yeah, that's this week.
Damn.
So yeah, expect an actual full.
Black Sun was great, but
that was most of this.
Shit, man.
Like again, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, just
Black
at least
Sun.
go in with being warned of just it's rough, buddy. It's rough. It's good, but it's hard.
Yeah.
To get through.
I'm about to say, and it's not because it's adult that makes it good. It's good writing and good cinematography.
Honestly, that's the thing that saves it for me. The fact that it is good overtakes the fact that it is so quote unquote adult. Like, if it were just like, oh, violence and politics and, you know, drug using and like, you know, all the crazy shit that we've been seeing, if it was just that, I wouldn't be interested. I would have stopped. Like, I would have stopped, like, not even halfway through. It's the fact that it is good that is keeping me watching. And
you want to see the story unfold.
Yeah, like, this is really good.
I'm about to say, I'm very glad I have gotten very few spoilers, but,
I went in
the
completely
Kamen
blind and it opened up on a fucking child on an opera
So did I!
Screaming!
You're acting like I knew! You're acting like I was like, yes, you're gonna see this child opened up. No!
I went in blind and that's what it opened with!
The only thing I knew is that the Kamen Rider, the diner, is fucked up.
Kamen Rider the diner?
Yeah, that's the restaurant. And they are serving Haven pouches and injections.
Yeah, they had like a red needle. I imagine it's like some sort of like Jello shot thing. I don't know if it would be alcoholic or not, but like yeah, and they had like the pouches with like the Haven stuff. And we're like, oh, that's a reference to Black Sun. Why are people saying it's fucked up? And then we watch this and we're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, we watched episode 2 and we're like, oh, Soylent Green is people. I get it now.
It's chunky, but it drinks like a meal.
Oh. But yeah, that's expect to get back to normal next week.
Goddamn.
Expect the topics we said last episode in episode 5 of TokuBrew for that show, which are still a little bit of surprises, but we do get to talk about Evil Dead, so that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Watch Black Sun at your own risk.
Yeah, you have more.
Decker, but support the official releases.
Yeah. We want to show these people that we want more stuff like this in America. So when we support the official stuff, that just is us saying, hey, we like your stuff, we want to hear more. So,
I don't think we need to explain that, but you know.
You know, some people do.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Oh my god, we made it through. We made it through Black Sun.
Well, we didn't make it through Black Sun.
No!
Where you only just begun.
My god. And we'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Yep. until whatever we do next. Do we have any questions we really want to ask you guys this week?
Um,
If you have watched Black Sun, what is your thoughts? And if you've watched all 10 episodes, do not talk
no
spoilers, please.
No spoilers.
Please, I don't want any spoilers.
We'll delete your comments. Is that a thing you can do?
I don't know. I would feel mean doing it, but
No spoilers, please.
yeah, please no
Don't
spoilers.
Don't make me feel like a dick.
Like, I don't want to feel like an asshole, but like I really want to keep this like not only unspoiled for myself, because it's like we're only talking about the first 2 episodes. Like it's like if you're gonna ask us a question about the ending, we haven't watched it yet. So
Yeah.
even by the time you're listening to this, we are not working.
We're recording this in like early November, so like.
Well, no, you're gonna
2022, like depending on like how far from the future you're listening.
Well, like I was more saying, it's like it's like we still haven't gotten back because we're now working on what we're on our other topics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
But anyway, yeah, that was a fun change of pace. So.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for listening.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.